What's up, my fellow harmonic traders? Welcome back to Track the Harmonic, your gateway to harmonic technical analysis in the stock market. If you're ready to dive deep into the exciting world of stock market insights and prediction based on the power of harmonic technical analysis, you have come to the right place. So here on this channel, I try to demystify the complexities of financial markets and equip you with the tools to make your own informed trading decisions. As we gear up for an eventful week ahead, we'll be keeping close eye on the highly anticipated release of the FOMC minutes. This crucial update from the Federal Reserve will undoubtedly have a significant impact on the market's direction, and we're here to discuss what we can expect next week based on our harmonic analysis. From spotting harmonic patterns to identifying key support and resistance levels, I'll try to guide you through the intricate world of technical analysis with precision and clarity. So join me as we analyze the charts and unravel the potential opportunities the stock market has in store for us. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you never miss a valuable update that could shape your trading journey. So get ready to unlock the potential of the stock market through the lens of harmonic technical analysis, and let's navigate the dynamic financial landscape with confidence. So before I get into the charts, I want to preface by saying I am not a financial advisor. None of the things I say in my videos is ever financial advice, so question everything, do your own research, and come out with your own conclusions. So having said that, let's jump right over to the SPY. So SPY on Friday had a very interesting close. It did gap up. It went as high as $444.30 and the low of the day was 441.11 before it closed the day at 443.28. So what can we expect here harmonically for the SPY? So obviously on Friday you had an increase of volume compared to the whole week, which was kind of choppy, just kind of slow, but you did break out of this range here, above XA with volume to support that move up. So we could tell back here when the HSI was oversold, you generated an HSI arrow. You tried to get above XA on Wednesday and Thursday. You got rejected on Wednesday, you closed above Thursday, and then you broke out on Friday, a clear break of XA here with volume to support that move. So as the HSI crossed that midline, if it decides to reach that overbought zone, you could potentially see hop next level here for the SPY at 451.17. So if you get rejected, as we could tell here in the past couple days here on Thursday the 15th and the 16th, you had a rejection here at the high, which was during that time we're around 443 and change. So if SPY cannot break above these levels here, you may come back down and fill that gap. If I put on my drawings back up here, you fill this gap here at 438.28, and maybe you retest XA to see if maybe that was a level of support for maybe continuation to the upside. Or you could come down, maybe create a higher low, which could be around below XA, maybe in a 21 EMA before you finally start to climb back up. So if you do come to the downside and you lose XA at 436.31, I would expect to test the 21 EMA here around 433 and change. Losing that, you'd obviously come back down and fill that gap. Maybe that now where that 2009 trend line is, and then maybe complete the type 1 reaction all the way to target 1 at 419.74. But from Friday's volume, I think that there is more continuation to the upside. This is just my opinion. This channel is all about opinions only, so take that with a grain of salt. But as the volume increased on Friday, there could be more continuation to the upside for SPY. If we go over to the weekly to see how it closed, you could obviously tell that this weekly close was a engulfing candle from previous close. Granted, last week was a short week because we were closed one day. So it will be interesting to see here on the SPY weekly here with this bullish deep crab. If it gets above target 2, I would be looking here at this 453.67, which I believe is the 786 off of this deep crab pattern. So if that is the case, you may go above 451, and then you hit 453 before you come back down potentially. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the SPY. If we jump over to the triple Qs here, so similar setup here for the triple Qs as well. You gapped up on Friday. The high was 370.49. The low was 367.23 before closing the day at 369.42. Similar setup here for the triple Qs here. If you can climb back up here to 373, which was the high on Friday, June 16th, which was at 372.85, I think you could potentially come up higher to test the 370s. This level here, a lot just like the SPY, a lot of it is setting up for a potential double top here, right? You have an M formation potentially forming here, so you could reach that double top and then create the next leg lower, maybe break down that neckline of that double top, see if there's going to be continuation to the downside. So similar setup here. If you get rejected here around 373, you come back down to test hop at 361, then you find maybe support after 21 EMA at 359. You lose that, you come down to XA at 337, fill up this gap here, go to BC 326, and maybe down the line complete the type 1 reaction to 306 at target 1. But from the volume that you also got on the triple Qs, this may be more continuation to the upside. As the HSI is almost about to cross that midline as well. So if we jump over to the weekly also generated an HSI arrow to the downside. So we do have an alt bat where the XA is at 387 and hop is at 403.57. So this is going to be interesting to see if we're going to have, I know this week is a very short week as well. We will be closing a little bit early tomorrow on Monday, and on Tuesday we'll obviously be closed because of July 4th, and we will resume back trading on Wednesday. So definitely want to see, for the most part, if history repeats itself on short weeks, the volume tends to be dry. So we will see if there's a continuation this week with volume. So otherwise, it's just going to be a choppy week in my opinion. The HSI here, at least for the triple Qs on the weekly, you did generate that HSI arrow because you were overbought within the harmonic pattern, and now you're coming down potentially to test that midline. If that goes down there, I think you can maybe test around that gap, maybe the 13 EMA, I'm not sure yet, but definitely we'll have to keep an eye out on the triple Qs. Jumping over to the Dow Jones here. So the Dow Jones here on Friday did go as high as 344.58. The low was 342.76 before closing the day at 343.85. So what we can expect here for the triple Qs, you obviously have a black swan pattern here and a bat pattern. Black swan is a new harmonic indicator I created here that tracks black swans, white swans, and dragon patterns, which have been precise on the generation of the pattern, as you could tell here. If I just remove this real quick here, the TTH indicator had called the black swan back up in April the 14th. At the completion of point D, you came down target 1, almost a target 1 here. You got rejected at CD, then you continued target 1, and then you came down. Never went to G2 here at 324, but as you could tell here during this G1 here, it kind of found support, climbed back up, and now it's breaking above CD. So right now we do have a bat pattern alongside with that. It's almost similar targets there. So if we are coming back up for a type 2 reaction here, back up the type 2 return here to potentially hop here, would be around 347 and change. After Friday's close with the increase in volume, you also had left with a gap there. So if there's more continuing to the upside, I would look at the Dow Jones to test 345.35, as it got rejected a couple times, and it's also a level here where it has failed to get above here since, I would say, maybe April. The last time it hit above April around 354 was April. After that, you did break up slightly, but it was a false breakout, and you never went above 350. Yeah, 348. You've never been above 350. So if we do see continuation to the upside here, I would like to see it break 345.37, then hop here around 347.89. If it does fail here, the rejection off of 345.35, next level to test would be 343.09. Test over here around 340. Come back down for that type 1 reaction back down to G1 here around 331, and then potentially 325 down the line. But the HSI midline is looking for more upside here. If we go jump over to the weekly for the Dow Jones, you are potentially setting up here for what looks like an inverse head and shoulders pattern, where you are at that neckline right there to try to break above, right? So I do believe a strong breakout on the weekly with this type of pattern here could really send it here to potentially 357, maybe fill the gap up there around 360. So definitely keep an eye out on the Dow Jones. Jumping over to Apple here. So Apple. What a week for Apple has been. New highs to create a new highs. The new all-time high now is 194.48. The low on Friday was 191.26 before closing the day at 193.97. So it did gap up as well. So what can I see next level here for Apple if there's more continuation, as it is a little bit overbought here on the RSI for the daily, but the HSI midline wants to move, and the AMP RSI as well for that before it starts to maybe reverse. So I do have a target here at 198.93, which is, I believe, the previous all-time highs to the previous 52-week lows. I do believe that's the 127% retracement at 198.93. We are obviously way above target 2 off of this bullish bat pattern. But if we go over to the weekly here, the weekly also had a bullish bat pattern where we're clearly above target 2, with last week's volume obviously increase in volume because the week before was a short week, but there's more. The RSI on the weekly is also a bit overbought. Same with the HSI and the AMP RSI. So that doesn't mean just because something is overbought does not mean it has to come back down to reset things. It could be continuation to the upside until it decides to come down. So what would you need if you were deciding to play the short? You would need something to print out and tell you that the potential stock is coming down here, whether that be the RSI. I would be kind of hesitant there at this point because this thing can just keep going up as we are approaching that psychological level of $200. But I would be looking at the volume to see if there is some volume pressure here to the upside with strong volume coming in, then you could potentially start looking at a potential reversal here back down. But right now, from the looks of it, there's just volume still coming in on the daily, as we could tell from Friday. Strong volume there. So if for whatever reason at 198 you get rejected, or maybe that psychological level at 200, look to fill that gap here at 190, test 188, and then the 21 EMA. You have all these levels, you come back down, fill the gap, and then a couple gaps down there, maybe you do a type 2 return, but that's too early to tell with this. But just note that these on Friday also invalidated the bearish divergence there on the daily, so as it created a higher high here. So there's no bearish divergence right now, at least on the daily. Let me jump over to the weekly. See, neither is the weekly, so this could still have more room to the upside before it comes back down. So definitely keep an eye out on Apple to see if it reaches that $200 level. Microsoft here on the daily, similar situation like SPY, the triple Qs. You have a potential double top here forming for Microsoft. On Friday, they go as high as 342.73 before closing the day at 340.54. So if there's more continuation to the upside, I would look to see 349.67, which was the previous all-time high. So you could get rejected there. You come back down to 330. That is going to give you an indication here where when you test, if it decides to test here 349 and change, Microsoft gets rejected with the volume to the downside, you could potentially start looking to see maybe it feels, did it leave a gap here on Friday, small gap there on Friday around 336 and change. If you fill that, you come to test 21 EMA, then 330. A big drop from 330 down to the 50 EMA is at 320, where there's also a gap fill at 316, and maybe you come down the line to finish that type 1 reaction all the way down to 272.45. So right now it's getting very, very tight here for Microsoft and a bunch of the indices as the EMAs are starting to get close together. If you start coming down here, for instance, let's assume that the blue, which is a 50, and the yellow is the 50 SMA. So EMA is blue 50 EMA, yellow is 50 SMA. Let's say it's these two EMAs start, and both moving averages start coming up here to match up with the 21, the 13, and 9. And if it decides to come back down, that would be a big drop from the 50 all the way down to 200. So it's very overextended right now. A lot of the blue chips are overextended. But we will see if there's more continuation to the upside here. On the weekly, you did have obviously an increase in volume because of the short previous week was short. So we do have a bearish Gartley pattern here. I do believe this is an engulfing candle, but we'll see if there's more continuation to the upside. If there is, I do see 349.67, which was the previous all-time high, and then maybe you test the current all-time high, which is at 351.47, and then there is a harmonic target here at 386.73 off of, I believe this is the I believe it's 127% retracement of the previous all-time high to the 52-week lows, if I am not mistaken. Just let me make sure that is correct here. So we come back down here, and yep, that is 386.73 is 127% retracement of this of the 52-week highs and the previous two 52-week lows. So definitely keep an eye on Microsoft. Jumping over to Amazon here. So Amazon on the daily, you do have a bearish bat pattern that was generated here, and you are currently having a hard time for Amazon testing above XA here at 131.40. So the volume did pick up on Friday. The HSI midline wants to cross the midline potentially there, or at least test it. So if this is able to cross that midline and hold above 131.40, the next level I'd be looking at for Amazon is hop at 148.78. If you get rejected here off of XA, look to come back down to test the 13 EMA at 127, then 125 and change here on the 21 EMA, and then if it loses that, you come back down to 119 and then maybe finish that type 1 reaction all the way to 112.37. Below that, you obviously have that gap to fill there at 106 and then target to at $100.55. So if we jump over to the weekly for Amazon, Amazon obviously had a very, very bullish weekly chart here, as you can just tell, as the volume still is still picking up here. You're a bit overextended on the weekly, and on the HSI you may be potentially, this looks like a potential hanging man, hammer candle, whatever you want to call it, on an uptrend. So next week you could test a 200 EMA here, 200 SMA here around 132.75. If you break above that, you still have this giant bat pattern here to finish that type 1 reaction all the way to target 2 at 147.69. So if it rejects off the 200 SMA, you could look at to test 122 again down the line. So definitely keep an eye on Amazon as well. Jumping over to Tesla. So Tesla had a very interesting week last week where you did this HSI dot did generate, and you did come back down to almost fill that gap, but found support here, and you generated on Thursday an HSI arrow to the upside here. So what can we expect here for Tesla? We had bullish news on Tesla over their production that came out over the weekend. So I do think Tesla will have some bullish news, bullish outcome here at open. So you could see it test back above 270, maybe 275 and change here, where you did get stopped here this previous two times on the 20th and the 22nd of 20th and the 21st of June. So what do I see past 275? I could definitely see 280. I believe it's 286, 260. Off of the 2-day pattern here, you have 323, but I do believe there's another harmonic pattern here, 297.51 on the 3-day, which is also where this weekly bat pattern is for Tesla here at 295.05. So very bullish to see if there's going to be continuation. Obviously, the volume is there to support these moves up, so you're getting an increase in volume. So Tesla does look a little bit bullish right now, but if it doesn't break above this level here, you get rejected around 274, 275, or you don't continue pushing next week. If it falls down here, I would look to retest 253.80. If it loses 253.80, then maybe you come down and test that 21 EMA, where the 21 EMA is. Maybe down the line fill the gap there as well. I wouldn't be bearish anywhere on Tesla unless it lost 223.79, where you can come back down here. So potentially you have that setup there for Tesla here with the SMA golden cross happening. You could potentially start looking to move to the upside here. So it looks very good so far right now with Tesla for more continuation to the upside. I do think after 275 there is another level there before 295. I think it's at 286 off of this previous harmonic bat pattern, where you are currently at the above the 23.6% retracement and 0.382%, which is at 286. So look to see above 275 would be 286.17, and then you can see that 295.07 should it continue up, and then that psychological number at 300, which could be the case too as well. So like I said, a lot of these chips are looking like a potential double top forming, so we will definitely see if when it reaches that double top, to see if it actually negates that and continues pushing on up. So jumping over to Google here. So Google looks a little bit bearish in my opinion right now, especially with the lawsuits over that they're dealing with right now. You did generate here a bat pattern with the HSI dot here, and the HSI dot was actually a good indicator that it was telling you that it was potentially coming down, and it did come down all the way to BC at 118.98. It actually went all the way down here below the 50 SMA slightly at 116. Go over here, 116.10. So right now you're finding support. You're finding support on the BC here at 118.98. So if you find support here and you continue pushing up here, look to see if it can reclaim ABCD here at 122.55 and then 125.92. Above that, you have that gap fill around 132, which is having a hard time getting up above just even here at 129.04, and then you have hop there. So what's interesting right now for Google that it's looking to me in my opinion is a potential inverse cup and handle forming here. So you could be forming the handle here up above the 21 EMA where it did get rejected, and if you have some selling pressure come in this week, you lose a 50 EMA here around 117. You may down the line come and fill this gap here at 112.98 around there, and then finish that type 1 reaction all the way to target 1 at 111.58. So the past 2 days on Thursday and Friday you are seeing an increase in selling pressure. So definitely keep an eye out on Google to see if there is more downside to this. As you could tell here, you did generate an HSI dot on the 30th of May here, and then the week after you generated on the 5th where I told you an HSI arrow, and that is looking to be playing out so far. So on the weekly we do have a bullish crab pattern here where you did bounce off the 13 EMA. So if there is more continuation to the downside here, you could come back down on the weekly to test target 1 potentially at 109.39. Otherwise you have target 2 here, which as you could tell never really closed above this target 2 at 125.49. If you manage to close above them, then you have that gap fill at 132. So the HSI looks like it is coming back down to potentially that oversold zone, which could be maybe around that 21 EMA, maybe target 1. So definitely keep an eye out on Google. Jumping over to Meta here. So Meta on the daily here, just continuing to make higher highs here, where it's now looking like a potential channel here. It's having a hard time. There's a lot of room still to fill this gap here. The gap gets filled around 316 and change, almost 317. So on Friday you did go as high as 289.05 before closing the day at 286.98. So what can we expect here for Meta? If we jump over to the weekly, it gives us a better picture here, where a potential golden cross is happening with the EMAs here. So the 50 is blue and the 200 is green EMA here. So if you potentially see that crossing, you could see some upside. Doesn't have to play out, but harmonically speaking, target 2 here would be at 302.07. So if you get above 302.07, you maybe have a good shot here at filling that gap around 317 and change. Should you get rejected at 302.07, you could come back down all the way down to 252 on the weekly chart. So I would expect to get a little bit bearish on Meta if it decides to lose a 21 EMA, which has found very strong support off of it for the previous times. You could tell you never really lost it just in this April the 25th is where you slightly went below, but from then on it's just been riding on its way up there. So look to see if the volume starts to pick up again, as volume has been decreasing a little bit for Meta here, as it is a bit over extended on the weekly RSI. So keep an eye out on Meta. Jumping over to NVDA here. So NVIDIA on Friday did have a very bullish close after it did come down to the low this week, which was around $400, almost 401. Sorry, excuse me. It was 401, that lowest that it came down to on NVIDIA here, where it almost tested the 21 EMA. There is a gap there at 396, and fortunately for NVIDIA, for those that are going long, it found support back above 411.30, and then now it's closing above 423.02, which is closed above my harmonic target there at 419.38. So what can I expect here for NVIDIA, as NVIDIA did get an increase in buying pressure, as it was a bit oversold within the HSI here. If I could see more, if NVIDIA picks up more volume here within this week, look to test the all-time high here at 439.490. So that's a previous all-time high on the weekly. Really don't have nothing but this potential bearish candle here that it could, on an uptrend, could signify here that NVIDIA may be coming down. But as the volume did come down here on the sell side here for the weekly, compared to the previous week because of the short week, we will see if this hanging man here is actually a potential indicator of a trend reversal, as NVIDIA has been a bit overextended on the weekly. So definitely we need another maybe week or two confirmation close below to see if, with increase in selling pressure, to see if this is actually coming back down. But NVIDIA has been holding pretty strong here above the $400 range. So that's all I have to say for NVIDIA. If we jump over to XLF, which is the whole financial sector, which is I think it's important to look at right now, because it did also gap up here, and you had an island gap reversal, which could mean a potential bullish continuation next week. So XLF here did get a slight close above the 200 EMA here on Friday, went as high as 333.85 before closing the day at 33.71. So you did manage just to close slightly a couple cents below target 1 here. So if there is next Monday, see if there's a retest of this 200 EMA, if I find support with volume, the next level I'd be looking for XLF would be at $36.34 here to complete that type 1 reaction. Otherwise, you lose the 200 EMA, you come back down to fill this island gap here. The gap would get filled just slightly at around 33.43. So you fail to, and if you don't find support after filling that gap, their next level would be looking at would be the 21 EMA here at $33 and change, and then the final level for support, if it breaks down here and it doesn't hold, is at 32.66, which you can do a gap fill there at 32, come back down for another gap fill here around $31 and change, and then OB at 30.45, and then hop at 28.54 to complete that type 2 return. So volume is starting to increase here as you have the HSI arrow back in the 27th of on Tuesday. You had the HSI arrow generate, and then now the HSI dot is also generating off of this candle. So we will see if there's continuation as with this bullish engulfing candle on the weekly. You could see that XLF here has a target 1 here at 34.54 off of this bullish bat pattern. We see if there's any more continuation to the upside to complete that type 1 reaction to target 2 at 37.27. So definitely keep an eye on the financial sector. Jumping over to Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin did have a bullish breakout, and you're slightly above 30.7 here. What can we expect here off of this shark pattern here, which potentially looks like forming a bullish flag now? So right now, today's Sunday, it is slightly trying to test terminal here, which is at 30,800. So if it can get above 30.8, the next level I'd be looking at here would be 31.868, and then a previous harmonic target would be, I think, around 32,000. Before above that, there is a higher continuation to, I believe it's, just go back here, 37k. I think that's where the next level there. The 3-day just generated also a new bullish bat pattern. So hop is at 34,785, and let's see here on the weekly. I believe it was a weekly. Oh no, it was a daily here. So if I'm able to take the fib retracement tool from point A to point B here, make sure everything is precise. The next level I'd be looking at would be the 382, which is at 38. It's kind of hard to tell here. 38. Call it 38.5, and then 44,300, and then 50,000 off the 618 should it continue. So right now Bitcoin looks like has a potential bullish flag forming here, which could break up. By definition, the bullish flag is a bullish pattern there. So you could see more upside here for Bitcoin up to around the $38,000 range. You do have a black swan pattern on the 3-day where you are slightly just trying to get above CD here at 32.9. The black swan is calling up to goal 1 here at 46.7 and then 55.2. So we'll see if you have more upside here for Bitcoin, as it looks a bit bullish here after breaking above some major EMAs there with volume. So definitely keep an eye out on crypto. I do think the altcoins are also a bit bullish right now. But other than that, that's all I have for you guys. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always, and if you want to catch me on live, link to my Twitch is in the description box below. So obviously remember that Tuesday will be closed, so we will resume back on Wednesday. So I hope you guys have a good 4th of July weekend, and I will see you either Monday or Wednesday. Take care, everybody, and peace.